Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. This is Z Kingdom, and you can call me Z, and I'm the host of this channel. So a few months ago I did the Disney princesses as zodiac signs, so I decided to keep up that Disney theme and do villains as zodiac signs video today. So I'd like you guys to like this video, subscribe, click the bell, and also don't forget to share, because I'm one of the greatest channels on this platform. And yeah, stay tuned to see what Disney villain you are based on your zodiac sign. Aries, your Disney villain is gonna be Hades. So I pick Hades partially because of the fire part, because when you think of Aries, Aries is a fire sign. And the thing that fascinates me and that you guys need to know is that blue fire, which is Hades, it's usually much more hotter than the normal temperature of regular fire. And the thing is with Aries is that compared to Sagittarius and Leo, it usually tends to be the much more temperamental one, the much more aggressive one, much more rambunctious one. So Aries fire tends to be a lot more, domineering. Especially if you would compare this analogy with religion, for example, like within Greek mythology, how Hades was the god of the underworld and he ruled the underworld. The underworld, in other words, is actually connected to hell. And so, described as a burning pit, for, bad people, whatever. And so when you really think of all that, you really think of actual emotions such as anger, aggression, things like that, and that's the perfect match for Aries in my opinion. And in the movie you can see how Hades, you can see these emotions on him. He's constantly aggressive, moody, always out of hand, up front, direct. Whenever things don't go his way, he goes in a spiral, and this is definitely Aries. Taurus, so your Disney villain is gonna be Cruella de Vil. First of all, off the bat, when I look at Cruella, all I see is Taurus. Because Taurus is supposed to be sort of the more materialistic sign. It's supposed to be the sign of beauty, being ruled by Venus, and it's supposed to be the sign of possessions and value. And Cruella in the movie, she's like this, super rich woman who wears all these designer things, wears fur coats, and just does not like dogs for some reason. Basically, with her, there's always this need for beauty. She always feels like she needs to be beautiful. She always looks for the much more attractive things. So that's definitely, when I think about that, that's definitely Taurus. Because, Taurus people, they want to look their best. They always want to, present themselves as how they want to be perceived. So with Cruella in the movie, she's just this very pristine and proper person, especially because whenever I think of Cruella, I always think of this song Donatella by Lady Gaga, and oh my gosh, that song reminds me of Taurus so much. Just all the materialistic things gravitating towards just the much more shallow and much more surface things. That's so Taurus to me. Gemini, your Disney villain is gonna be King Candy, or should I say Turbo. So the reason I picked King Candy / Turbo is because in the movie he comes across as extremely animated. Just a smirks, just a evil grins, just there's sense of character in him. And I feel like the people who created the movie Wreck-It Ralph really intended for him to have so much characteristic features. He just gives off this sort of Peter Pan, sort of jumpy, I guess joyfulness to him, and that's so Gemini to me. He just comes across as extremely skippy and giddy, and just very especially most of his catchphrases, the sarcasm. Oh my gosh, it's just so Gemini, and he's just all over the place. He's just kind of wacky-ish and quite bipolar in a way, I guess, too. And I mean, if you think about it, he is a clown, right? He's a joker. And that's the thing with the sign Gemini. The Gemini is known as the joker, the one who likes to make everyone laugh, the ones who constantly laugh. And so with him, you could just see this character of just nothing but laughter and joking, nothing serious. At least, when he gets to the more villain parts of him, you could see the actual seriousness. But that's the thing with Gemini. It's the constant switch up of serious and non-serious. You just never know. It's manipulative, but at the same time, I guess you could call it sort of like a superpower. But that's the thing. With clowns, their main role is to entertain. And with Gemini, they love to entertain people. They love to make people laugh. They're very positive, and in a way that they're like very caring and lighthearted as well. So they prefer, of course, not to be taken seriously, just like how, Jokers don't like to be taken seriously either. Cancer. So Cancer, your Disney villain is gonna be Prince John. The reason why I say Prince John is because he is extremely emotional. He's a king and he constantly just has his thumb inside his mouth all the time. And constantly just saying mommy all the time, like a little baby, and just like he's like constantly reliant on his servants, and he's just just like how like a baby acts towards everything, and just that's completely Cancer to me. Cancer is supposed to be like, the sign, the emotional sign, the overly sensitive sign, and that is exactly how he acts. Like he's just overly sensitive, he just snaps a lot of the times, like when everything's don't go his way. He's just a really, really, really big crybaby. That's why I feel like Cancer fits perfectly for him. Also, you have to know the sign Cancer is actually associated with the mother in astrology. And so when you think of it, it's almost like the sign mother and like the crybaby is like, coming together, like, mother nurturing her baby in a way. So like it fits perfectly. Leo. So your Disney villain is gonna be, and I know what you guys are already thinking, but it's probably not gonna be what you guys are thinking. Your Disney villain is gonna be Gaston. The reason I say Gaston is because, well, he's extremely egotistical. He always looks in the mirror. He always just has tons of like mirrors on him all the time to go admire himself. He's so self-obsessed. He thinks he's the best. He thinks he's a hero. Granted, he does come with this domineering and strong physique, but that's exactly the thing with Leo. Leo is supposed to be like the domineering one, but at the same time, Leo has a weakness where they're constantly prideful, self-centered, and self-obsessed, just constantly worrying about their self. And of course, in the village, everyone just looked up to him. People idolized him, people admired him. It's almost like he was just like the center of the entire village. Just people, they loved him. And that's the thing with Leo. Leo is a very social sign, social butterfly, and so everyone naturally gravitates towards their confidence, naturally just wants to be like them. But of course, whilst Leo is doing all this self-admiration, it can kind of cloud up their mind and make them extremely clueless and just really oblivious to other people, to the point that they literally care about no one but themselves. And that's the thing with Gaston. That's all you see about him, just caring about himself. Not to mention, Leo is associated with the sun in astrology that represents self-expression. And so with Gaston, he always expresses himself in a way where it's like naturally domineering. It's naturally like almost like determination, where you would say he's more like Aries, but no, because of like that admiration part, right? He constantly thinks of himself as higher. Virgo. So Virgo, your Disney villain is gonna be the evil queen. So of course, Virgo is the sign of the maiden or the virgin, and so what that symbolizes is purity. And when you think of the evil queen in the movie, she always likes to make sure that she's pure. And it gets to a point where it's almost like she's over-obsessing over herself and her beauty, where she always constantly goes to the mirror and asks, who's the most beautifulest woman in the land? She's just obsessed. She overanalyzes herself. Like, she's just always really feels like she needs to know her actual beauty. And that's so Virgo to me. Where with Virgo, it's always this constant, worrying about their looks, worrying about how they come across, just being very clinical, overly critical of themselves. And you can tell with the evil queen that it was obviously her being just overly critical about herself, because when the mirror did tell her that she was no longer the most beautifulest woman in the land, she raged out. She got so angry. And so the thing is with Virgo is that it's not that the fact that they exactly like to be like the most beautiful, it's just that they always want to know or feel like they are extremely pure, or at least more pure and more clean, more kept than others. Basically, overall, there's just a sense with the evil queen of being overly obsessive, and that is of course a Virgo thing. Libra. So your Disney villain is gonna be Prince Hans. So of course in Frozen, Prince Hans was supposed to play this role of being the Prince Charming almost, who easily, you know, gets princesses, you know, under his spell. And the thing is with Libra, it's almost like, you know, they sort of rule that that mostly like, you know, love at first sight almost side of Venus, whereas Taurus sort of rules that more of the sensual and attractive side. But both of them had the attraction, you see. So Libra, you easily just get charmed by them. And the thing is, in the movie, he was extremely good at playing the role of this charming, you know, prince that, like, you know, Anna was kind of blinded by, you know, what he actually, like, what his actual plans were. He was just really good at, you know, faking his character, you know, just you know, really good at using his charm to get what he wants. And of course, this is a very Libra thing to do, because Libra, they usually tend to be more like the fake, you know, sign. So they usually tend to use things like their charm or whatever to, like, you know, kind of manipulate people. Whereas Gemini, they kind of have something like that, but not exactly. So you could see how Libra is also really good at manipulation as well. Just like in the movie, how Hans is also good at the manipulation. Scorpio. So your Disney villain is gonna be Scar. Just like with Taurus, I choose Scar mostly off of physical connotations. And especially with the sign Scorpio, Scorpio is supposed to represent, you know, the strong intensity and, you know, gazes and things like that. And the thing was with Scars, like, he just oozes all of that energy. Just with, like, you know, sort of like the just like the strong gaze that he has with the, you know, the dark black hair, and of course the scar, and, you know, just like the way he walks and strides at himself just oozes Scorpio to me, in a way where it's his essence, his aura is very secretive. It's very reticent, you know, if you will. And so he lives in the shadows. He lives in the shadows, where he just comes off a very suspicious and very mysterious. And that's very Scorpio. So it comes across as very, of course, he comes across as very domineering and extremely intense. At the same time, though, there's that manipulation there too, where he plays this role of this, you know, nice uncle and this kind person. But then, well, shouldn't really say person per se, but yeah, you get the idea. And of course, you know, Scorpio is supposed to be like the sign of revenge. And the thing is, when things don't really go Scorpio's way, it's the vengefulness there, the resentment is there. And with Scar, he is full of it, just full of it. I mean, come on, he killed the king and proceeded to kill the son of the king. Okay, Sagittarius. So your Disney villain is gonna be Ursula. So similar to Gemini, Ursula, she oozes off like these very animated and very, like, you know, mischievous, just really characteristic, well, energy in her, really. And as we all know, Sagittarius and Gemini are opposite signs, and so both of them share this sort of like jokey sort of nature with them. And with Ursula, she's just, every single movement is just very exaggerated. It's very dramatic. It's very, you know, all over the place. And I feel like that's very Sagittarius in a way where they are chill and cool, but at the same time, they still have that fiery part in a way too. So where Ursula is very enterprising, there's still just that very, you know, heated part of Ursula and that temperamental part that, you know, where you really see that the fire really shows through. And that is very Sagittarius to me. And as well, you have to acknowledge that, you know, Ursula just has those sort of brutally honest moments in the movie as well, where she just comes across as overly honest. And that's the thing with Sagittarius. Sagittarius does have a problem with a blunt tongue. And that's the thing with Ursula as well. She just goes with whatever she says. Basically, you get the idea. Ursula, she's filled with attitude, she's filled with drama, she's filled with fire, and yeah, and also creativity as well, and all these things is very Sagittarius. Capricorn. So your Disney villain is gonna be Jafar. So I say Jafar because out of all the villains in Disney, he just comes across as the most serious to me, like overly serious. And in a way, I know how a lot of you guys would compare him to Scorpio, you know, with the intensity and the gaze, but I see him more as Capricorn just because of the sternness, just because of the solidness. Not to mention, kind of going off physical looks here, how he gives off this sort of grandfather look in a way where he looks like he's extremely grown and mature. And that's the thing with Capricorn. Capricorn is known as, like, you know, I guess, like the father of the Zodiac, and it's also ruled by Saturn, which is known as the planet of old age. And so that's the thing. Capricorn is usually, on a normal basis, known as the serious and the much more mature one. For Aquarius, we are going with Yzma. First of all, with the Emperor's New Groove, like I said, with Leo, there with Gaston, he's like constantly just standing in the spotlight. He's a social butterfly. And with the thing is with Yzma is that she has this need or want to be in that sort of light. She wants to be the ruler. She wants to be the emperor. And the thing is, with Leo and Aquarius, they're both opposite signs. So you see how they both feel the want to have this more, just to be on this much more higher level in life, or they just feel like they're much more higher than everyone else. Not to mention in the movie, you'll see how she's like, towards her attitude towards Kronk, she's always like this much more intelligent person. She always feels like the one who has more of the brains, and that's Aquarius. That's just how they are. She's very sarcastic in the movie, and in a way, like, she possesses these sort of characteristic personalities as well. Overall, people might think Aquarius is not the best fit for her because she's overly emotional and overly temperamental, but no, not exactly. Even though Aquarius people are known to be very chill and aloof, that's the thing though. A lot of the times they can be expected to be usually much more over emotional people, or, you know, just really on the inside, they really are over emotional. Last but not least, Pisces. So Pisces, your Disney villain is gonna be Maleficent. So I say Maleficent because with Pisces, they are the two fish, so that means they're two sides. And so with Maleficent, I feel as if though out of every single like villain, she has these two sides of good and evil. Cause, like, you know, as a little girl, she grew up as very nice, very kind. As she grew up, she grew a little bit more evil in a sense. She does come across as very gentle in a way, and that's very Pisces to me. Pisces is known as the most gentle sign. Not to mention, out of every single villain, she does ooze a lot of wisdom, and her whole entire aura just screams pure mysticism, pure just curiosity. I think, you know, just really suspicion, but much more like positive suspicion. Especially, you can see more of that, like, much more gentleness and much more softness to her in comparison to other villains, because she actually kind of had a soft spot for Sleeping Beauty in a way, for Aurora, and you could see how most of those characteristics are really Pisces, how they feel very conflicted in a way, how they're just always the fantasy or reality, just the feeling of positivity. And yeah, guys, that concludes my video for today. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It's just a quick and fun video idea that I came up with because I was just wondering, I was bored for the day. So I really hope you guys love this video. Like I said, like it, subscribe, click the bell, and share. and I will see you guys in another video. Bye.